happened was an accident. We were trapped. I made a mistake, alright? I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry, Curly.
Sorry. A 5-letter word, likely originating from the Old English word sarig, which means feeling sad or sorrowful. But interestingly, its original meaning was not for the express purpose we use it today, to apologize, to express regret or offer sympathy to a fellow man. But what can the word sorry truly do? Does it truly reverse the injuries inflicted? If so, is an apology truly enough where the damage caused is too great? And is an apology truly worth its supposed value if it lacks any true remorse? Will a sorry that comes from a source of no remorse fix anything? This is the story of Jimmy, Captain of Delusions, the aftermath of the crash that promoted him, the friend who tried to help him no matter what, and the final judgment that forced him to take responsibility. On the 147th day of its planned journey of 382 days, the Pony Express long-haul space freighter, Tulpar, experienced a horrible crash with an unknown orbital body. A crash that surely would have taken down the freighter if not for the insulation foam that was automatically discharged when the hull breached, blocking off the compromised parts of the ship and ensuring the survival of the 5 crew members. However, while co-pilot Jimmy, nurse Anya, mechanic Swansea, and intern Daisker were fine, Captain Curly suffered tremendous injuries.
I was thinking, we never went back into the cockpit after we dragged him out.
It's almost entirely foamed up. Kind of a miracle Curly didn't end up fossilized. But it could still be unstable.
Being in the cockpit during a head-on collision, Curly suffered extensive damage, though that is an understatement. With the majority of his features burned away, including hair, lips, and eyelids, exposing subcutaneous flesh and muscle tissue, as well as the loss of both hands and feet. It is more accurate to say that Curly was left grotesquely mutilated. Though perhaps this was karmic justice at play, for according to Jimmy's testimony, the now de facto captain, it was Curly who altered the course that crashed the ship, thus leaving the Tulpar stranded in deep space. As such, considering his condition and his crimes, it should be better to let him die.
We don't have a lot of painkillers left, but you still want to keep...
Why do you think he did it?
Does it matter? What answer would make you feel any better?
I have to believe that our worst moments don't make us monsters, Jim. I have to. Even in his case.
And yet, the crew kept him alive, for one reason or another. As such, Anya would ensure he lived, keeping Curly alive for months with only bandages and relieving his pain with the opioid oxycodone and later even over-the-counter painkillers. Though in spite of this, she found herself uncomfortable, forcing Curly to eat his painkillers.
It just hurts him so much. I can't stand the noise.
You did make it through nursing school, right?
While Anya successfully kept Curly alive despite the difficult circumstances, it was clear that she was dealing with frustrating setbacks. Thankfully, Jimmy had no such sentimental hindrances and had no problem forcing the painkillers down Curly's throat. Pain is after all a sign we're alive, as he would say. And he knew pain and would ensure his crew endured this pain as well. For Curly was still his friend, despite his heinous crime against Jimmy. But more importantly, the rest of the crew needed to survive. Daisuke, the intern whose positive ray of sunshine would help morale bloom on the ship, no matter how spoiled he was by his parents. Swansea, the mechanic who was integral to keeping the ship at large, despite his gruff disrespect to the chain of command. And of course Anya, no matter how incompetent. A present nurse was better than none. He was captain now after Curly's disgraceful behavior and had to take care of them. But after 2 months since the crash, resources were dwindling.
Looks like it'll be soup again for dinner. You want a rock, paper, scissors for the chicken noodle?
How much food do we have left?
I'd say like 4 months-ish.
Less than the remaining air supply. But we can make it last, in theory.
To survive, hard decision had to be made, and soon it would become a struggle to put food on their plates. They would have to consider every possible option, and after 2 months, Jimmy brought forth a solution to their immediate problem, opening the cargo hold.
Anyone would do the same thing.
We ain't touching the damn cargo. The hold is locked down for a reason. The only thing worse than dying slowly is not getting paid.
But it could be something useful, I think.
Could be what? Hopes, dreams, and marzipan?
You don't have to.
If it helps us survive, it's worth it.
Pony Express bosses really aren't chill at all, huh? Come on, a quick look won't hurt.
After all, considering that whatever was in the cargo hold was to be carried for such a long time, there had to be something worthwhile in there. Medicine, preserved food, resources to repair the ship. So, despite the risk of losing their payrolls, Jimmy ultimately stood by the decision to help the crew. After all, he's the captain. He was in command of the Tulpar now. With this responsibility in mind, Jimmy used the captain's override code to open the door to the cargo hold. The door to the treasure opened for their survival. And what was within this dragon's hoard a possibility?
Mouthwash?
This is what they'd have 5 people hauling for over a year? All of this for mouthwash?
Mouthwash. Tulpar was exclusively transporting mouthwash with sugar content. The dream of a dragon's hoard proved to be nothing more than an infinite haul of fool's gold. Something pretty, but ultimately worthless. It cannot be used for medicinal purposes, as Anya notes that the sugar content offsets any disinfecting properties of the ethanol. Of course, it could not be used as food, but as the rations would begin running out, the Dragon Breath mouthwash was the only thing that remained as any form of food or water. No matter the consequences, they would survive. As such, everyone but Anya would begin consuming it, understandably becoming nauseous from it. However, Swansea would keep consuming it, getting completely hammered from the event, and somehow more irresponsible than he already was. The situation was beyond bleak, reaching the inevitable breaking point. But Jimmy was still the captain. He would succeed and fix this. No matter how useless Daisuke was, no matter how useless Swansea was, even conspiring behind his back and manipulating the gullible Anya, Jimmy would persevere and fix this.
You're not serious. Look, I've entertained your sentimentality up until now, but I'm trying to actually fix things, Anya. I'm getting us through this.
A leader would solve any problem at hand, no matter how frustrating. Of course, it was only natural the crew could not hope to fathom his sacrifices, and the hard work Jimmy had to endure. But as the captain, he must take the responsibility of the ship, and he would fix it all, no matter how ungrateful his crew was.
It's find the coat scanner, then figure out the door code, get the axe, chop up the foam, but not too much. And best of all, give Curly his fucking medicine. But I'm burying it. I have to. Because the captain has to take fucking responsibility on this goddamn ship.
Of course, that is the heart of this delusion, isn't it? We've all noticed that something has been off and contradictory. Because that is the only way Jimmy can paint his version of being the magnificent captain that saves the crew. But in his egocentric need to be the one on top, he was completely unsympathetic of the pain he had wrought. The pain he caused his crew, especially Anya, for he needed to make himself superior and could only do it through the lie. The lie of a man who wants to be the hero. The lie of a man who needs validation. The lie of a man who needs to be seen as the better man. The lie of a man who escapes all responsibility. The lie of a man of such ruthless narcissism that he was the one who crashed the ship and blamed it on Curly, the man who believed in him until it was far too late.
You know, he joined because of me. What were the words I used? Ah, right. It's a great opportunity. Easy money. Just a trip or two. Someone else's words in my mouth. Hey, worked on me as well, right?
Captain Curly commanded the Tulpar, and over the course of at least 10 years, he had successfully accumulated an illustrious career. Across his tenure, he had earned the respect, trust, and admiration of his crew. Anya was comfortable around him, and Swansea was deferential to his command. Curly had even hired his old friend, who was a successful co-pilot next to him. Overall, Curly had successfully held up his responsibility for his crew, and as a result, he had climbed the corporate ladder to the very top. So, on the surface, Captain Curly was by all accounts a successful man. But appearances don't always tell the full story. For while his career and occupational goals may have reached their peak, he wasn't quite sure he was personally fulfilled.
Lately, I've just been thinking, is this enough? Should I stay because I've been successful at it? A good long-haul freighter captain.
And that's bad?
That's what I'm saying. It's not. But it's terrifying. I think, am I figured out? Is this all I'll ever be? Or do I take the risk and try something new, even if I'm bad at it?
Change is scary, for there's never any guarantee of what comes next. And yet it was clear that Curly wasn't entirely happy. Burnt out for a company that demanded way too much of any man. True, he was successful, but he was also empty. But at least he still had his co-pilot Jimmy to listen in. He had known him for some time, and despite all the struggles Jimmy had endured, he had been a good co-pilot. Of course, his records were not spotless, but Curly knew his friend. A minor hiccup here or there should not diminish what he can offer, and any issue could easily be overlooked. And so, Curly would smile and stand by his friend, even if his friendship with Jimmy was not as reciprocal as he thought.
How are things otherwise? Off the record.
I like it. We're in control here.
Didn't think you'd ever take to being a freighter pilot as well as you have. What with how you struggled back on Earth.
Sure. All I ever hear is how great of a leader you are. Honestly, it's kind of annoying.
In spite of how much our individuality shapes us, we humans will always be affected by social norms. For through culture, traditions and ideals are formed, and through society, they are further enforced. Society decrees that we are meant to want success in life, that once we have success, all problems will go away. But the success of one can mean the failure of another. And while some can be encouraged to seek fulfillment elsewhere, some will look at the success of his fellow man with resentment.
Next comes spite. First, it stares back at you in the mirror. Then it's those around you. They're wearing your face, and you theirs.
Jimmy struggled back on Earth. While the exact nature of this struggle is never made clear, Jimmy does argue that he has no hobbies, as they are only for those that can afford them. Thus, Jimmy comes from a poor background and likely a troubled past as a result of something he could not control. As such, the position of captain, to be in charge alongside the glory of success associated with such a title, would be everything he would desire for himself. To be in control, to be respected. Curly being praised for being so great at his job was something Jimmy may have admired at some point. But admiration had given way to resentment, but they were still friends. Curly saw Jimmy as a friend, someone who struggled and was there to support him.
I guess I get it. You've reached the highest rung on this ladder. So, now you're thinking you might be on the wrong ladder altogether. Still a long way down no matter how you look at it. While I'm still climbing and climbing.
It's something like that. But hey. You know I believe in you. Here, on Earth, doesn't matter.
By all accounts, while their lives were not perfect, they still had jobs. Far from the best, but a job nonetheless. Things may have been rough, but Curly believed in Jimmy. He was his friend, and while rough around the edges, he would never do anything that harmful. Curly and Jimmy could always fix whatever issue may surface. Anything can be fixed. But reality is never that kind, is it? For Curly's blind denial of Jimmy would soon be shattered. His eyes forced open to see what Jimmy truly was. For everything around Curly and his crew would come crashing down.
After all these years, just like that.
7 days before the crash. After helping Anya by doing Jimmy's psych eval, Curly got a message. News from corporate. And as the saying goes, no news is good news. But when he planned to break the news the next day, 6 days before the crash, the crew decided to launch a surprise birthday party for Curly. The timing could not have been worse, as he decided to tell the worst news to any employee next to his own birthday cake.
That's all it said on the report from management. We will receive the paycheck for this delivery. I don't know any more than that.
Pony Express finally kicking the bucket, huh? What a joke. And we're the punchline.
I don't have any savings. They can't just do this, right?
Pony Express was one of the last manned freighter companies. The writing's been on the wall for a long time.
Empires rise and fall. That is the nature of things. Pony Express was a neglectful company, only caring for the profit, but any company will eventually crash under its own weight. Now, this stable was gone, and its horses had nowhere to go. Curly wasn't even meant to tell them. Instead, he was meant to wait until they were closer to their whole destination. Yet he broke the policy because he couldn't keep this secret from his crew, his friends. And how does his best friend and co-pilot respond?
So I guess you got what you wanted, without the guilt.
Jim, if I had known,
I can go back to my, how'd you put it? Struggle of a life. Anya never gone to medical school because she's, well, let's be real. And how many employment years Swansea got left in him? Daisuke will be fine. Mommy and Daddy will have him covered. So there's that at least. But you, headed for bigger and better, right?
With spite and vitriol. Not a word of compassion for his friend, and instead only intent to lay the blame squarely on Curly's shoulders, twisting Curly's feelings against him.
I'm just working on my life being a place I don't have to fucking escape. That's what I was trying to tell you, nothing more.
We're the ones you're trying to escape. Leave the dirt behind now that your boots are clean.
That's not what I meant.
It is what you meant. You just couldn't frame it to yourself in a way that kept you as a hero. Abandon the crew, but remain the model captain.
It is easy to understand Jimmy's frustration and anger. Anyone would be upset in this position, but him instantly framing Curly suggests a deep-rooted envy that flared up. The thing is, while he is correct that Curly wanted to get out of an exhausting job for a neglectful company, he never once wanted to throw anyone else under the bus. No, this is what Jimmy believes that Curly is doing, in spite of knowing that Curly supports him. This is more than just frustration lashing out. This is a twisted envy for his friend, projecting his own insecurities at everyone around him. For if he could not be happy, why should anyone else?
Let's have some fucking cake, huh? Props to the Twilight Cruise and the Tulpar. Props to our captain and his new prospects.
But this was not the only reason the Tulpar would crash. This was one of them, but far from the primary one. No, the true reason for the crash was not because the company was going under. It was because of the consequences of a cruel horror that Jimmy did. A disgusting act that Curly should have acted upon, and didn't. He didn't take responsibility when Anya needed it.
If you look really, really close, you can see there's a dead pixel in the upper right corner.
That's so. Nope, don't see it. I don't think it ruins the illusion, though. It's peaceful. But maybe I'm just used to looking at the bigger picture.
To look at the bigger picture is to focus on the overall good, or greater good, to be more precise. It is the good for all, and not just for the individual. But trying to keep peace for the sake of the greater good is an empty gesture of condolence. And it is ironic that Curly could not see the dead pixel, for in the same way, he was incapable of seeing the flaws of his friend Jimmy. No matter how small or minute they were, he tried to think of the bigger picture, ignoring the dead pixel.
How many days of transport do we have left?
Let's see. Off the top of my head, around 237 days. Just under
8 months.
Of course, the concept of the greater good always breeds the question of when the damage becomes too great. When does a comet become a meteor?
Hey,
When does the damage become too much? When does the man become the monster?
why do you think Pony Express put a lock on the medical room door, but not in the sleeping quarters?
I suppose the same reason they put a lock on the cockpit. Safety.
Whether it was due to it being his friend, or afraid of how it would appear on the performance log, Curly ultimately enabled Anya's suffering at the hands of Jimmy. the co-pilot who has shown to be quite dismissive of Anya, seeing her as useless and incompetent. Nothing more than a tool that he can dismiss and mock. A tool to use and abuse. And no lock to keep him away.
In the back of my mind, it's always there.
Jimmy's revolting crime is one I hesitate to speak out loud, because no word that I use can describe the taint such a despicable action leaves on the soul. Anya suffered, and she suffered alone. For like I said before, Curly was aware and did nothing. And because he did nothing, a seed of despair would take its roots.
I'm pregnant.
You're what? Who would you...
Captain, I told you.
Listen to me. We can fix this. I've known him for a long time. I'll talk to him.
He knew instantly who it was. Curly was convinced he could fix it, that it could be solved if he simply talked to Jimmy. But what could be solved with words alone? The shame, the fear, the pain that Jimmy caused to Anya alone is not something that can be fixed. Her life was irreversibly changed the moment Curly let it happen. And yet, in denial of his friend's horrible actions, he tried to look at the bigger picture and find a way to fix it. But no talk can reverse the damage done. Not this damage.
I told him.
Anya, you should have waited for me. What did he say?
Nothing that makes any difference. He just walked away. Curly, I don't want him in here anymore.
Hold on. Fuck. Just wait. I need to find him. Everything's going to be okay.
Anya's suffering was cast aside by the man who was responsible for her well-being. Instead of comforting and protecting the one that needed help, Curly chose to try to fix it. In his mind, he reasoned that he could fix it all. Focus on the bigger picture. Don't let this hurt everyone. It will be fine. They are friends. He was likely very regretful about it all. He could stop this. Likely panicking and trying to find ways to fix this. He rushed over to find Jimmy, standing near the hall leading to the cockpit. 0 days before the crash.
Jim, I can fix this.
What do you think will happen when we get back?
We can figure all of this out. You and me.
But while Curly was panicking, Jimmy seemed oddly calm. No anger, no rage, but more importantly, there was no regret on his face. He was dismissive, if anything.
All I ever hear is how great of a leader you are. God, it's so annoying. But now, what do you think will happen now when we get back?
We'll fix this together.
Curly was still trying to fix this. Curly's enabling of Jimmy allowed the captain to be manipulated by his closest friend.
It's not just me, is it? You were supposed to be the one who had everything under control. You said so yourself. The ship, this crew, everything that happened here. This was your responsibility, Captain. That is what you'll be hearing for the rest of your life. Or this can be remembered as a tragedy. Despite what must have been the best efforts of its acclaimed captain, the Tulpar crew was never found. No one survived to tell the tale. You're standing at the top, feet in cement. I get it now, right?
Right.
Kills 99%. 99% kills. To overlook the final 1%. The dead Pixel.
I'll take care of it.
All evil needs to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And that is exactly what Curly did in this decisive moment.
Jim, tell me you didn't. I should have... I didn't. What the fuck did you do?!
Curly tried to stop what he had allowed Jimmy to stop. But by this point, it was far too late, as the ship crashed into the orbital body with a captain in the very front. Curly's enablement of Jimmy came at the expense of his crew, and his skin forever burned with the sin of his failure.
Also, well, I was hoping you could help me with Captain...
Curly.
Right. Sorry. With Curly's medication?
People have to be worth their titles. Don't you think, Nurse Anya?
The violation of Anya, the crashing of the Tulpar, the need to be recognized, the grandiose idea of self-importance. Everything that went wrong in the ship can be traced back to Jimmy and his ego. He blamed his friend and captain for his own crime, a crime committed to avoid responsibility. At every turn, he shows a complete disregard for the safety of his crew and even himself. This disregard and the ability to commit horrible crimes without any remorse shows strong tendencies of antisocial personality disorder. This, in combination with his narcissism, makes it very likely that he is a psychopath, or at the very least, psychopathic. For psychopathy is not just one diagnosis, it is also a collection of characteristics, often associated with other mental disorders, to form a whole. We know very little about Jimmy's past, aside from the strong implication that he was very poor. However, Curly's enabling words indicate that Jimmy has taken part in criminal acts before.
You've gotten through difficult situations before. This time won't be any different. Work through it, one day at a time.
Besides, the clear apathy he holds for Anya after the revolting thing he did to her, as well as the ease he can flip his switch, as well as the ease of the actions he could commit. It is very likely that he is a case of antisocial personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. But between the two, his narcissism lies at the very core, and it seems his pathology all circles around his delusion. His grandiose sense of self-importance that he was the only one that could fix everything. This is the delusion that Jimmy wanted everyone to believe. That he was a great leader that would save them, when he was in fact responsible. This egocentric delusion during the months the Tulpar floated in deep space holds its roots in his vulnerable self-esteem. For he cannot accept that he is ultimately the villain. He still had to face judgment. A judgment of his narcissistic denial. A denial that would result in his own descent into madness, as well as the final deaths of the Tulpar.
Don't do anything. Stop. 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 I can fix this.
Why do you keep fucking saying that? Are you hearing yourself?
I'm sorry.
We still have disinfectant, right? The one from the extra medical stash? Get it! Now!
The cocktail. You.
The cocktail? What are you blabbering about?
That was your fault. You would never have... I had no choice.
You... useless! You goddamn fucking idiot! There has to be something else.
It was 5 months after the crash when Jimmy set in motion the actions that would begin the final 8 hours of this tragedy. Daisuke bleeding on the floor, Swansea furiously trying to find a solution, and Jimmy trapped in his entitlement that he can stop this. The stage is set for the final downfall of the Tulpar, but the truth of it is that none of the current actors present were the ones to start the final event. No, that privilege went to the one whose voice had been robbed for far too long. Anya.
Jimmy! Help! Jimmy, it's a total emergency.
Calm down. What is it?
Anya is stuck in medical. The door won't open. What if she runs out of something?
Right. Let's go have a look.
5 months had passed for the crew, and things were falling apart. Resources were dwindling, they drank mouthwash to survive, and everyone was dirty and exhausted.
Hey, heard the lock's broken. Hey, Anya, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Jimmy.
Anya, is the door stuck?
No.
Huh? What do you mean?
Look, we're all stressed, but you can't go breaking down at every little hardship. Open the damn door.
Anya had locked herself inside medical, for while the sleeping quarters lacked a lock, the medical room did not. And it was here that Anya, for the first time, having reclaimed the safety that should have been hers, could truly speak.
You were right. You were right all along. I should have done this from the beginning. I always believed that our worst moments didn't define us, didn't make us beyond repair. You think I wanted this either? Make no mistake, this isn't my worst moment. Far from it. It's the best decision I'll ever make.
Open the door.
I'll take care of it.
Jimmy has been in control of the ship. The thing he praised about his job is his ability to be in control. Likely coming from a poor background, with only struggles to his name, Jimmy would know about having no control and despising it. Thus, when Anya, the one he had dismissed the whole time, the tool he felt entitled to use, spoke back, Jimmy snaps and tries to swiftly find a way to stop Anya. Perhaps he thought Curly was in danger, as he would tell Daisuke, or perhaps he thought Anya would do something drastic. Regardless, it was out of his control, and he needed to fix that.
Anya? What does that mean?
Curly is still in there with her, right?
Yeah. You don't think...
Daisuke, you and Swansea know the internals of the ship better than anyone. There's absolutely no other way into medical?
Well, the Swansea said it was strictly off limits, like super mega not allowed above all else.
The utility room.
That busted vent in there loops into medical. But, I mean, technically a person could totally fit through it.
If that's the only way, we'll make it work. You listening, Anya? Fine. Come on, Daisuke.
Enlisting Daisuke, he would find a way to get into medical. However, Swansea didn't allow him access to utility. So, in his mind, he had to get Swansea out of the way. Not by killing or fighting him, of course. He's not a monster. But by drugging him, Jimmy could get into utility. Though Daisuke wasn't certain if this was the right thing to do, Jimmy managed to persuade him that it was ultimately harmless. That it was harmless to use the only remaining disinfectant to drug someone without their consent. Jimmy had no problem with it. Why should Daisuke? So convincing the intern to partake in this deceit, they successfully drugged Swansea before entering utility, which was surprisingly free of foam, and inside a single functioning cryostasis pod, which Swansea had likely been hiding for himself. Oh, this treachery was something Jimmy would talk to Swansea about, but first, they accessed the vent that would loop into medical.
Whoa, check out those sparks. I hate to imagine how gnarly it looks on the inside.
It could be somewhat collapsed in places. You could make it through. We need to try it.
Swansea said it's, not safe.
Narcissists are not necessarily manipulative, but due to a sense of entitlement combined with a general lack of empathy, can lead to intentional or unintentional exploitation of others. Someone in command may remove privileges, even expecting his servants to follow without complaint. It's not surprising that Jimmy's complete disregard for Daisuke's safety was present. And true to his antisocial nature, he had no problem manipulating the impressionable young man further, to go where Jimmy was not.
You said you could handle it. Swansea taught you well, right? Time to prove it. He'll be impressed when he wakes up. Proud. He'll understand why we had to do this. Then he can explain himself.
You think so?
Daisuke, everyone's counting on you. Captain's orders.
Yeah, I got this. Okay, here we go.
With silvery words, Daisuke was sent into the darkness, while Jimmy stood behind, the brave leader, standing tall. Surely there was no real danger. So what if Swansea thought differently? He had to stop Anya and save Curly. He had to fix this. He would fix this. The vents were exactly as dangerous as Swansea had warned, and Daisuke was horribly injured, resulting in him becoming fatally wounded as he forced his way into medical, only for there to be no reward.
Anya, what did you do?
Anya's so-called best decision was to overdose herself on painkillers, for she was doomed no matter what, and she might as well end it on her own terms, away from Jimmy's need for control. She had never intended to hurt Curly, aside from forcing him to watch her take her own life. That part was likely Jimmy projecting what he could and had done to Curly. But even when proven wrong, she had defied him. She had gone against him and was now dead, and Daisuke was almost dead as well. Thus, when Jimmy was trying to think of something to use for Daisuke's wounds, he started spiraling down into madness, chased by some horrific equine abomination in his mind, before he snapped back with a realization. He could use mouthwash. Surely that would work. But of course, it didn't. Exactly how Anya had stated when they first found the mouthwash. Even beyond the grave, Jimmy kept disregarding her.
The bleeding won't stop. Just try to stay still, Daisuke. I need a second to think. We can fix this.
Hey, kid. You hear me? Daisuke.
Hey. Stop! Don't move!
It's alright, Daisuke. Calm down.
6 hours before Judgment, Daisuke was dying. No resources to help, and no medic that knew what to do. The poor kid was suffering, and so Swansea did what he had to do.
You monster. I could have fixed him, Swansea. I had to do everything myself. Why can't any of you give me some time to fucking think?
How do you still not understand? It's over. End of the fucking line. You won't suffer one more second because of your delusions.
When Jimmy was about to crash the ship, he appeared calm during his manipulation of Curly, but in the moment afterwards, he disassociated himself from the event, his mind fraying and seeing images of a twisted Polly mascot, while surrounded by the cries of a baby. But when he survived, he did everything he could to prevent the truth from coming out. This is because he was a narcissist who escaped responsibility. Death was better than the humiliation of being judged by everyone. But when he somehow managed to survive the crash, he began to cling to his narcissistic delusion that he was in charge and could fix it.
Unbelievable. Stop pretending. I know all about your plan, Swansea. I went to utility. I saw what you've been hiding down there. Sneaking around with that axe, telling Anya who knows what. Now this? You're making sure you're the one who gets inside that cryopod.
Jimmy was likely projecting here as well, for Jimmy was so self-centered and cowardly that as such the act of hoarding the only possibility of survival was obvious to him. But he was likely wrong here. Instead, he was projecting the delusion that he was still the hero.
I sure did talk to Anya, but it was her telling me all sorts of things instead, wasn't it? Shouldn't the captain go down with his ship? Not that it matters anymore. I ain't got no place to be. I got everything I could ever want, right here on this ship. So go ahead and get in that pod. If you ever get found, you can tell them whatever fucking story you like. You've earned it.
At his core, Jimmy is an antisocial narcissist who was undergoing a psychotic break, in the form of his delusions that he was the hero that would fix it. In other words, his delusion of grandeur was formed by an already existing, vulnerable narcissism that he was entitled to more. But the moment anything interferes with this delusion, his world breaks apart and he loses control. And by losing control means that he is less, and he could not stand it. After Swansea left Daisuke's corpse, Jimmy went to grab the gun. For the moment Swansea showed even a crack of the truth, he became an enemy. He had to be taken care of. And so it came to be that the former crewmates fought each other to the death.
Jimmy! Jimmy! Get the fuck out here! I'm gonna chop you into 20 fucking pieces!
Swansea, fueled by a vindictive rage. Jimmy, fueled by delusional ego. These two forces clashed, but with Jimmy having a long-range weapon, and Swansea likely feeling the effects of being drugged, if not poisoned, the winner was clear. Swansea was beaten and tied up, and he could have been left alone. But Jimmy justified that he was being attacked, and even when tied up, he was defending himself. He was not the villain, just the hero trying to fix everything.
I could see myself for what I am. But you, a cowardly, selfish motherfucker. And you can't even see it.
Swansea, I'm going to fix everything. We're going to make it.
Fuck you.
Through his actions, Jimmy had killed everyone under his command. Everyone, except Curly and him. It was at this point that something snapped. Just like when he thought he was going to die, he disassociated from the events. His mind started to try to justify it all, descending into his own madness of denial. Perhaps he needed to take No, it wasn't his fault that Daisuke died. It wasn't as bad. It was dangerous, but it wasn't Jimmy's fault. Daisuke's death wasn't his responsibility. Daisuke fucked up. Then Swansea was murdered by... No, Jimmy defended himself. He had to defend himself from the deranged axe murderer. He had to fix it all. He had to. He had to.
Hey, we all tried to escape. Didn't work for any of us. So all I can do is try to make my life one I'm not trying to run from all the time.
Amidst all the denial and justification, 1 hour before Judgement, Jimmy sat down with his crew around the table, like they had all done 5 months prior. Only now, they were praising the true captain.
Woo! Happy birthday, Captain! This rocks!
Hear, hear! To Captain Jimbo!
Come on, you have to give a speech.
Go on, have at it. You better make it good.
Hell yeah!
Our captain, Captain Jimmy.
In reality, Jimmy had propped up the bodies around the table, but in his mind, they were fine, and they all had to eat. They all had to survive.
We should have some.
Why? It's mediocre at best, obviously.
Sometimes you can only get the subpar stuff. That's what makes the really good stuff, well, good, right? Sometimes I'll be promoted, buy a house, fall in love, but at other times, I'll just have some awful fucking cake with my friend. Right now, that sounds pretty brilliant, yeah? So, if you'll do the honors.
A lot of people struggle to put food on their plates, but that wasn't enough, right, Captain? The lowest rung of your ladder is our highest, until it was all swept under your feet. Life isn't even worth living at the same level as us. But I forgive you. All of us do. I won't give up on you, even like this. I believe in you. We're going to make it through this. Sometimes we thrive, travel the endless reaches of space. But other times, we just have to accept days like these. You taught me that, Curly. Let's eat. Let's survive.
Jimmy could either accept reality or break away from it. He chose to do the latter, as his self-righteousness could not reason that he was the villain. Something had to give, and it was reality that broke for Jimmy. He would justify everything in his mind, the vision and bizarre sequences his mind went to as it descended into his madness, painted himself as the victim. He could only see himself as the hero and everyone else at fault. Daisuke should, in his mind, have gotten through without a problem. Likewise, despite Swansea being tied up, Jimmy would justify the cold murder as self-defense. As for food, well, they all had to eat. He would even force-feed Curly if he had to. Someday, Curly would thank him. They would all thank him. And he forgave them. But during this justification to feast, something clicked within him. He had to help them. And in his mind, he saw his burning friend and reached an epiphany. He would take responsibility.
I want to go home.
We are home.
Why don't you finish what you started? Don't worry, if anyone ever finds us, I'll still be playing the villain. You'll be the better man in the end, like you wanted. I could have stopped it. I'm taking responsibility.
No. We can both be heroes. We're a team. Just you and me. Like we used to be. What happened was an accident. We were trapped. I made a mistake, alright? I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry, Curly.
No. Jimmy is not sorry. It would be easy to think so, and he's good at convincing himself that he is. But what good is an apology without remorse? Can someone without empathy feel sorry? So, if Jimmy is not capable of remorse, then why is he saying sorry? Because it's only when the Curly in his mind accepts himself as a villain that Jimmy sees Curly as the better man. Thus, he needs to become as good as Curly. For another feature of narcissistic personality disorder is the fact that they believe themselves to only be capable of being understood by other special people or high-status individuals. That is what Curly has been to him. And in his delusions, Curly's singular eye glares at him, like a force of judgment against his every action. He's not apologizing because he wants to be redeemed. After all, he's still denying the reality of the situation. He's apologizing because it makes him look better. Of course, that would imply that an apology could fix everything. He never apologized to Swansea. He never apologized to Daisuke. As for Anya, well, she's absent from all delusions. At the only time she's present, Jimmy erases or blocks her out. Because he doesn't see her as someone important. But his mind does go towards one last victim of his. A representation of someone he helped create. The child that was never born.
Pony Express is dead. And so are you.
Everything began with him trying to escape responsibility from impregnating Anya. He has not taken responsibility for it, much less the violation he committed. Perhaps there is still some guilt, but it is not because he has remorse for killing his own child. We have established that he feels no remorse and is quite capable of horrific crimes. As such, it is more likely that his narcissism plays a hand here. After all, the child is his, but he's not going to let even his brat make light of him.
Shut up. Curly tried his best. I did too, but he's the better man. I see that now. We can both still make it. I'll take care of him. I'm taking responsibility. Curly. Captain. I'm so sorry. Yes. Yes, I do. I fucked up. But I can still make this right. Our worst moments don't make us.
Over the course of this story, Jimmy has twisted the words of others to make himself better by making them worse. He stole words from not just Curly, but also Anya, in order to justify himself, but mocks others when they try to do it. Because, in his ego and envy, only he matters. And so it is that 0 hours before Judgement, Jimmy picks up Curly with a new sense of enlightenment and carries his friend's mutilated body over to utility to give him the only remaining cryostasis pod.
It's okay, Curly. You're going to be okay. You've always had our back. I ended up hurting you, even though I was trying to save us. But now you'll survive. It's like you said. Together we can fix anything. I'm just proud I got to be your friend and co-pilot, Captain.
Jimmy's idea of responsibility was to put Curly in the cryopod and then escape himself. But he didn't even wait to confirm that the cryopod activated before he put his gun to his head. Because to Jimmy, it was never about being sorry. When asking the question, does an apology fix anything? The answer can be yes, if the words mitigate the damage done. But it would never be enough for Jimmy's actions. His entitlement as the hero and envy of anyone who was remotely better than him meant that he had to strike back. Stealing words and propping himself up to make himself seem humble and perfect. But to Jimmy, it was never about being sorry. It was always about being the hero. And with that self-righteous entitlement, Jimmy, the Captain of Delusions, went down with his ship.
No one can hurt you. We fixed it. I